Well, good morning. It is March the 12th, 2022, and we are expected to have a hard freeze of around 25 degrees tonight. And unfortunately, everything is coming out and is blooming. So right now it is 70 degrees, which is crazy enough. It is super windy. This big storm's coming through and it's about to rain. So I've been out here trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my plants. I'm gathering sheets, blankets, towels, tarps. I'm afraid I'm going to get hit in the head. There are pine cones that are falling down from the trees because I probably should not be standing out here. What I am doing is trying to save the apple tree, which has already blossomed. There's a few blossoms left on it. But is already like setting fruit and is in full leaf, right? Is totally leafed out. So I spent last night watching a bunch of videos and trying to figure out what I'm going to do. In the past, we've covered things and this tree has gotten so large that I don't know what we're going to do, except we're going to do the best we can. So I've decided to wrap as much as I can with Christmas tree lights. We have the old incandescent lights. In fact, you can see them here. So I've started, while it's warm and not raining, I am out here and I'm going to wrap as much as I can with the heat from the lights and cover as much of this tree as I can. I heard that the blankets will only give about a 3 to 4 degree buffer. And so if it's 25, I think it's not going to be 25, but let's just say it's 26. Oh, the sun's coming out. Well, that's good. That'll bring it to around 30. And with the lights, if we can even get it up to just another degree or so, this tree should be okay. And even if we lose a little bit of it, we have tons of blossoms on here, and I would have to thin it out anyway. But it's not just this tree. It is like so many things in my yard. So here I have some cords. I figured I'd come out here while it's warm and get the cords all hooked up. And I dig in my box of Christmas tree lights and start wrapping them. It's just, this tree is just so large that it's going to be so hard to get them. I mean, it's not like it's a 60-foot tree, but it is, quite extensive. But I will do the best I can to kind of wrap most of the heat around the bottom as heat will rise. If we can just cover, I just don't think I have something big enough to cover this tree, but we're going to do the best we can. And then we do have some poly plastic. If we could wrap it with sheets and blankets as much as we can. I know you probably saw me earlier this year. I already was out here with this tree once when it was just starting to blossom. And it's always the hard thing, but now I'm just really afraid that the entire thing is blossomed and now we're getting such a weird late frost. So, I'm just looking around my garden. I have some seedlings coming up in the vegetable garden, but I think those are okay. Even the snow peas I think will be okay. The good news is the winds are coming from the north, and this is the north side of the house, but we've got this windbreak here with all of these bushes from our neighbors, and behind this is a fence. I've got some things that are like blooming, some sweet william that are blooming, and they're kind of protected in that microclimate. And I've got this lavender that I may have to watch out I don't get hit in the head with a branch. I've taken most of all my plants that I have, put them in the garage that are not planted, so that whatever I didn't already get in the ground, thank God. But we've got this sweet tree that is blooming finally, and I've got all these blossoms, and that's small enough it could probably cover it. I'm just afraid it's gonna knock it over. And of course this flowering quince, and I have to see, that's an early bloomer, so I have to check the cold hardiness. And this, I think I can just cover this whole bed because I have but all of my little seedlings. This is flax that has come up, and I've got sweet peas all along here. They're starting to get covered with all of the leaves that are coming down from the trees. We have calendula over here, and just everything is popping up. Oh, looks like I missed a strawberry over here when I moved all the strawberries. They always find a way back. Anyway, there's tons of little seedlings, and I've got some echinacea that's just poking its head up that I was hoping I didn't lose. Nasturtiums over here, some more calendula. I mean, just lots of things. All of the bulbs are coming up, which I think they'll be fine. And, you know, I've got a lot of seedlings here that are, anyway, in jeopardy. Not to mention the hydrangeas that are just starting to leaf out, though I think they'll be okay. I've got, oh, I can bring my limelight hydrangea in. I just realized I've got this one right here in a pot. That needs to come in. Forgot about that one. And I'm thinking about even taking in every one of these window boxes because the snapdragons, they just fell off the trees. Yes, so March has definitely come in like a lion this year. It has been raining and windy, and this crazy like storm, I don't know where it's coming from except for up north. So I fed the squirrels and birds this morning. I've got to remember to bring in the hummingbird feeder because it will freeze, and just hope we can cover as much as we can. And, you know, that the wind doesn't blow everything down, but that's the other thing, right? It's like everything is, it's not like still, which I guess is actually helpful. So I will film when I get the plastic bag blowing it down on the power lines. Oh, Lord. Well, the power just blew out at our house. So I'm trying to wrap these Christmas lights. I'm like, wait a minute, what's wrong? This strand is not working. And then I'm like, wait, all the strands aren't working. Now I have no idea whether these strands are even going to work. Hopefully they will. The power has just blown out at the house, which it rarely does, and that is not good. I'm like, oh my Lord. I didn't even get to make my tea. And I guess I'll just keep wrapping and hope that these are all new lights. We just used these during the holidays, so I'm assuming they still work if they're back in this box. I'm just gonna keep wrapping, and we'll wait now for the power to come on, because without power, that could be a big problem. My plan is gonna all go to hell. But I mean, it's 8:30 in the morning here, so if the power's not on by tonight, we're gonna have another big problem. Well, it's the next morning. I have been up since 6:30 the old time, 7:30 the new time, and I'm just didn't even think about grabbing this camera and coming out. What I did do was turn on my sprinkler hose. I reconnected the hose sprayers, and I sprayed everything down that was sticking out, trying to save some of the things that weren't covered or had come uncovered or partially uncovered. And overall, it looks really good. So far, it looks like about 90% looks really good. There's a little branch breakage and a little bit of damage here and there, but I'm hoping that was minimal. I'm super pleased. You can see the one that did not get covered is very browned and wilted. Of course, a lot of them are on the ground, but the ones that we covered, even if they are broken a little, are still looking okay, and there's still some green leaves here that look pretty good, and hopefully those will just continue to leaf out. I haven't uncovered everything, and that tree over there is still uncovered. It looks like perhaps this oregano and sweet marjoram didn't like it, and I didn't even think about covering them last night. I did spray them off this morning, but they look, I'm not sure, we'll have to see. They look like they're browning a little, so when the sun hits it, they could shrivel and die. And my little seedlings, I don't know if you can see because of the sun, that were covered. My flax looks really good. My quince is still got the blossoms on it. I'm so excited. Let's see, I covered this one up with pine needles before, put a heavy layer of mulch around, and it still looks really good down there. And the snow peas back here, I covered all of this up and looks pretty good. As you can see, I still have some things I'm uncovering. And then that monstrous tree, I'll go over there so you can see. You know, the problem was that it took so long to get that tree, and it was just so windy that I finally just almost gave up and said, I have to cover everything else. I'm gonna end up saving one tree and losing the rest of it. And it looks like everything else looks pretty good. I wasn't sure about these little seedlings, but I'm kind of thinking they weren't going to make it on their own. So I covered my poppies, and I covered all of these seeds. I was a little worried about my lavender over there this morning, which I tried to cover but didn't really. When I came out this morning, was uncovered and very not happy looking. So I'm just going to gently uncover these seedlings, get these bricks off. It says it's about 41 degrees now, so I don't want to leave these things baking in the sun. I think the key is to get the covers off them as soon as it's, you know, in the high 30s and it's sunny. I waited just a little bit longer than I could have, but it ended up being, I don't know, when I came out, my temperature gauge said 29.8, but it was up under the porch. I had pulled it way back. So on the thermometer on my phone, it said 26 or 27. So I don't think it got to where, because I was up at 6:30, which would have been the coldest point. And so I don't think it got to 25, and I don't think it got to 26. So where it got here at my house, probably somewhere about 27 to 28, I think, depending on where it was, certain parts of the house. If it's more protected, you know, we have little microclimates here because, you know, things are protected by the house or by other shrubs, or by the car. All right, I'm literally unveiling these now. And it looks like this one looks okay. Just get the rock off my seedlings here. I knew that alyssum would probably be all right, but I just wasn't sure. And oh, this broke, but it is a it's a dwarf butterfly bush, and it had a lot of little buds and things on it, so I wanted to make sure to cover that. And then this was I can't get there from here. This was the little hydrangea that I took off of the mother one back there, and it was really leafing out. So I covered that one. I did not cover the big one back here. At that point, it hardly had any green on it. So all I did this morning was spray, but you can tell it's gonna be iffy here with these leaves, but it was it's so just starting. I didn't think I had to worry too much. I had some in the back that were leafed out more, and I covered them around, and they're smaller. And though this one's not huge, last night after we did that tree, everything looked huge. This little vine here, which I think is an autumn clematis, sweet autumn clematis, it did not cover it at all and just sprayed it. I mean, some things are hardier than others, right? Like this little deciduous leaves, these new leaves, even if they do die back, they'll come back and they'll be fine. So I wasn't really concerned. It wasn't like the thing was about to bloom. So I think I'm pretty happy with all of the stuff out here, with the exception of my oregano and that sweet marjoram, but we're not really using it a ton, so not the end of the world there. Let's go over here and check out my lavender. Oh, I've got one more thing here. Knock these bricks off. It was so windy last night, even up to 6:30, 7 o'clock. I was out here till 7:30 when it was freezing, and the wind was so much that you couldn't even cover anything, because you needed 3 people just to hold it down so you could try to cover it before it blew away. It was just ridiculous. So not on top of everything else, that wind made it impossible. Well, not totally, we got it, but it just took so much longer, and we would cover it up, and then the next thing it would be all uncovered, which is what happened over here on this big lavender. Now we had some heavy things. This is what was on top of this lavender. We had another blanket, which I took off, but I had bird seed in these baskets to try to hold it down because it was just blowing off. And this is right up against our garage, but this is the north over here, so it must have been coming in this way. And it looks like there's some damage on this. Lavender's not great. I was just hoping I'd get one good bloom out of this and have one more year. I did start a bunch of little ones from this plant that have rooted, but you know, it takes a while for them to be this big and pretty. I'm hoping it'll bounce back and I can get a spring bloom, because I do cut all of the blossoms from the lavender and I love them. One of my favorite plants. And then over here, I didn't cover anything, but I did come out early, like I said, and sprayed. There was frost on the strawberries when I came out, and I was worried about the parsley there that has just kind of come up. So, and also the snow peas, but the snow peas actually look really nice. I know they will take it a little colder, and so will the parsley. So hopefully that will bounce back, though the color's a little off, that's all I can say. Spinach looks okay. I mean, I wasn't that worried because all I have out here is like lettuce, spinach, and kale, sort of cold hardy plants, and the snow peas and the strawberries. So I wasn't super worried, but while I was out, I sprayed. And then I was worried about this forsythia. It's on the other side of the fence. But we had that all covered up and it came out great. I know it's an early flowering shrub as well. Oh, hello, my sweet. So I wasn't, you know, I just didn't want it to, it just finally came into full blossom this week, and I didn't want it to be dead. So I'm happy with that. Now we have this, which is the crazy tree. I can't tell you how many sheets and blankets are on this tree, and it's followed by 2 tarps that are on top of it, plus the Christmas lights. So there's probably 4 or 5 king sheets. Queen, I see one there. Obviously we didn't have it totally covered, but we did the best we could. And there's a lot of things that spilled out while we were trying to do this. It looks so crazy, but I'm gonna have to just cut the twine and let this thing out, and just, I think it's okay. I mean, here is the stuff at the bottom. The leaves are okay, but there were some flowers down there that are now gone, which we may have knocked them off ourselves. But I'm going to try to unveil this and hope everything under there looks pretty good. I see some pink while I'm peeking up underneath here, but it might take me a little while to get this, so I will unwrap it and we'll see what's underneath.